Welcome. Today we're excited to have on the show Eruption, former host of the hit television show Showtime, a professional rugby player, and now a successful internet streamer. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Mitch and Lorenzo, for having me. It's a privilege, as I said earlier, and it's great to interact with you guys.
So, so as we look at your life, and the big puzzle that's been created and how every piece has kind of led into each other. One question we had, going back to your mission and your assignment to the Philippines, and you spoke a little bit about how you got those modeling jobs, and that helped you stay in the Philippines. Was there anything about the country or an experience you had on your mission that helped you say, hey, I could create a life in the Philippines, I could thrive here, and this is where I want to spend the rest of my life?
Well, yeah, as a missionary, I never had that. I never had that vision that I'll come back to the Philippines. No,
Really?
I wanted to go. I just wanted to. Yeah, I really wanted to just pursue my rugby career in Australia. Studies, because I also did study sports science. Um, I really just had in my head the vision of being successful in Australia, not coming back to the Philippines at all.
So it really was the employment that helped you stay in the Philippines.
Yes, definitely as a model. As a model, that was giving me, basically the means to stay here. Otherwise, I'll have no job. I had to call my bosses in Australia and say, "Hey, bros, I'm sorry, man. That was a tough experience." I was like, I'm not coming back. Sorry, guys. I'm extending my vacation, but I'll let you know. I'll give you a call in about a month or two. If everything goes sour, I'll be back. And I never returned.
I think it just kind of makes everything else more impressive because, like, us coming from America, I mean, you get so comfortable with your lifestyle and where you're at, and having the guts to just to take those opportunities. Because yeah, if you look at the story, none of the other things that have happened in your life would have happened without just taking that modeling job and just having the wisdom just to kind of go outside your comfort zone and become a model in the Philippines. Like, that is just so, it's just so out there, but it's created so many opportunities.
Unreal, right? Like, imagine if someone came up to you and go, "Hey, Mitchell, you want to take this job? Audition first. But if you get it, I'm going to give you like $5,000. And you're like, "Me model?" Like, the thing is, like, you sure you want me? You question yourself. But then if you look at your schedule, I was looking at my schedule and I was like, it's like a blank piece of paper. I got nothing. I got no schedule here in the Philippines. I'm just here for a holiday. And
So when I look at your story, I think it's a complete story of just courage and bravery because, as you just said, you didn't have any plans of living in the Philippines, but you had to take that one job and count on that being successful, and you being able to carve your life out in a foreign country that you had only spent 2 years in, and you're doing missionary work, right? You're not living there day
totally
to day.
different. Yes, that's correct.
That's awesome.
Going off of that too, it wasn't like, I mean, the modeling was successful at first, but it wasn't like that you went from modeling and that opened, like, that became your career. Like, you went from modeling to rugby to hosting to acting.
Yeah, I didn't share my modeling career that much, but my modeling career was actually pretty intense at the same time. Because that was a season where a lot of foreigners, like Brazilians, were being flown in to the Philippines to take more of the Filipino jobs because obviously they look different. They're more Caucasian, they're more guapo, and I was like going, I got more competition now, so I got to step up my game.
Yeah.
So these modeling jobs, where there's some of these commercials, they said, "We want a guy that can dance." Oh, I picked up 5 jobs in that first year of leads, of like the lead model or the lead actor in the commercial as a dancer as well. And I'm like, so if I didn't take up dancing while I was younger, then I wouldn't be able to get that job and get that check to be able to stay here still in the Philippines. So I was able to do that. And that first year wasn't all about taking auditions. I was trying to save up so that I can pay for rent, pay for electricity. I don't know anyone here. I had to really start a new life in the Philippines. I don't know anyone. I don't know where to go. I had to take taxis everywhere, and that was expensive. Pay for
Yeah.
my own food because my parents and my family, they're all in Australia. I really had no one here. I don't have cousins here. So I myself had to really assess myself. Is this the right career that I want to be a part of?
Yeah.
This
And
only for now. I didn't know. I took it day by day.
and then also like you talked about how while you were in the Philippines and because of that job, you were able to see the Philippine rugby team as an option in your life. And then
Yes.
you were a starter on that team. What caused you to step away from that team? Because you could have like we've seen on your Instagram and TikTok you are a very impressive athlete. And we could see how you could have played rugby and potentially have made a career out of that as well. What caused you to step away from that?
Um, Good question. The reason why I had to give up rugby was because of Showtime,
Okay.
and
You had to kind of
and it was
assess.
a hard decision, right? Because
Yeah.
Showtime is full time. It's 6 days a week, and I couldn't miss it. The
Mhm.
producers are like saying, "Eric, you're gonna have to pick one career. Would you want to be full time on Showtime, or you'll have no Showtime, but you can still pursue your career as a Philippine volcano." But I had to be wise. Now, I love rugby so much that I didn't want to leave it, but I wasn't earning any money. The Philippines government weren't paying us. It's basically I'm not sure if you're familiar with the term puso, which means heart. I play for the heart. I play for my respect, for my honor, for representing the country. I play for puso. Yeah, that's what they usually say, and that's where my name came from. The director called me Eruption
We had to know.
because of the Philippine volcanoes.
Oh,
So
oh,
he goes, the director before in 2012, he said, "Eric, we're not going to call you Eric. We're going to call you Eruption." I was like, "What? My name is going to be Eruption? Like, come on, man. You
yeah,
know, have a look at this." And now I'm taking it. You can see up there, there's my name right there. I'm not sure. Yeah, you can't see it. But anyway.
eruption.
And
Cool story.
yeah, he said, Dwayne Johnson. Back then, no one knows him as Dwayne Johnson.
No,
Everyone knows him as The Rock. That's it. That's you. We're going to create your alias, that your Eruption, that it's a unique name. No one in the world is going to be called Eruption but you. You're one out of what? One out of a trillion, or one out of billions that has the name of Eruption. I was like, took me honestly, it took me like 6 months to a year to accept it because for me it was like a weird name, but it does give respect to the Philippine volcanoes. That if it wasn't for the Philippine volcanoes, I wouldn't have the name Eruption.
I
So
think that's really interesting too, because I mean, like rugby and you know Showtime are completely different paths, and like nobody would in the right mind would think that one would lead to the other. But just by taking the opportunities you had presented with yourself, you're able to get there. And like it seems like rugby is your rugby experience is just as big as an impact of becoming on Showtime as anything else.
yeah,
So
because I wouldn't get the name Eruption. I don't know
that's,
what my name would be.
it's like part
And
of your identity now.
yeah,
Yeah.
that name has kind of contributed to a uniqueness of your own character in a sea of other people who are in television, who are hosting, who are on the rugby team. That name kind of just elevated your status and made you different than the rest of the pack, which I think is helpful. So like as we think about it, from the perspective of our news site and who we're catering this message to in this interview to, it's going to be towards members of the younger generation, and people like me and Mitch who are trying to make a difference, but we just aren't. We haven't reached adulthood yet. We haven't even reached college yet. We're writing to those types of people. Um, so, some one question that would be especially relevant to them is like we want to hear more from you about how you maintain such a healthy balance. And it's the balance you talked about earlier of church, family, being a dad, streaming, um, being an athlete, all those things, how are you able to be so productive and balance that time? You spoke a little bit about how you've worked with your wife to create that balance, but what else contributes to
Okay. Thanks for that one.
that?
It just made me think of two things.
Hmm.
I could say three things basically, but the first thing, um, you know when people say hard work,
Yeah.
hard work, when it comes to results, hard work and everything, and trying to achieve greatness or achieve the goal that you need. I live I live my life with goals. Without goals, I will not achieve anything. But you also got to think that how can I maximize on these opportunities with these gifts? What you're trying to do is, if you can at a young age, try and refine it. Don't just do it, research about it, practice it day in, day out. Put in the hard work, but the consistent hard work in it to be able to progress and go further. You know, if you don't do that, what happens to your gift? What happens to your talent? It basically, you basically won't be able to reap the results that you want from those gifts.
Mhm.
So I knew that from the mission that I inherited so many gifts from there, whether it would be spiritual or temporal. And I knew that deep down inside that I had to utilize them and not forget about them. You young generation, you guys are the future. You guys are truly are the future. Who knows what your future beholds? But you must always be ready. Stay ready. I live with that. I live with that quote as well, especially in the last 5 years, is to stay ready. In my regards, like for instance, um, someone calls me for a modeling shoot. Eric, you're going to be at the beach. And then you look at your body, you're like, I have a one pack. I'm not ready. You know what I mean? I'm not ready for it.
Yeah.
Uh, So I that call, that response to the call never came
Yeah.
because when I picked it up, you got a beach shoot. Oh, give me a time. What day? What day? What time? I'm there because I was always ready.
Yeah.
Meaning, but you don't get the body just like that. I mean, this is a temporal. This is a physical analogy in my life was to always be prepared, always be ready. So meaning you gotta go to the gym, you gotta eat well. There's a lot of things that you gotta put in, into perspective. I don't wake up like this. It's just like The Rock did, He didn't wake up like that. He really does work for it. And that's where it comes down to what I said earlier about hard work, being appreciative, because that humbles you to always live with gratitude in your life, because that will always keep you grounded and refine those skills.
I think it's just this balance that you're talking about that just is what separates you so much from other people. Like especially in the world of content creation, like YouTube, streaming, all that kind of stuff. I mean, there's very limited barriers to entry. Like anybody can do it, and there are so many people. But I think what separates you, and especially in that thing, is like again this balance, like the fit gamer. Like how many gamers, like take the time and have that discipline to do that. And that's what separates you. And like kind of going into the business side, I think Lorenzo has some questions about
Yeah.
the content creation world.
Yeah. And like we've taken a look at your platforms and you talked a little bit about Facebook gaming, and we see how you're able to create content on your stream, but also you post that stream and highlights on YouTube, and then you create content on Instagram and TikTok, just to name a few of those that we've seen. So we wanted to know, like, how are you able to make a career out of that? What are some steps that you took? What are some tips you would have for other people in our audience that are looking to create content, a career out of creating?
Now that's a toughie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, definitely one of the toughest things, and especially with my job as a streamer and a content creator, I still have a tough time. Even though it looks like we don't struggle as creators, um, we do, because we sometimes we run out of ideas. Some things are repetitive. But as I was saying also before, that remember about refining. Refining is a process. You know, you can't just refine something just like that. No, you got to keep on refining, and also you got to keep on evolving. Look at my age, man. I'm 38. Come on, content creator at 38. That's very rare. Usually they're young. They're full of life and blossoming young girls, and also comedians that we see a lot. So I also got to think that, hey man, how can I stay relevant to these kids? I would say 60-70% of my fan base are 20-year-olds, young, not my age.
How do you appeal to that? How do you appeal to that different demographic when you're 38 and most of your audience is in the low 20s? How are you able to create content to match your market?
Um, I got to think like a kid as well,
Yeah.
but there's also a time or parts where I do have to draw the line and really show my age, really show the maturity of making decisions, and portraying that to the people,
So there's a
to these kids, and they respect that, and which is something great. But also on my other side of my personality is me being a comedian. I'm a funny dude. um, so I drive some inspiration from not just only these people or these role models. I draw inspiration from others now, and
yeah.
especially with TikTok coming out. Oh my gosh, if I see something that's good, hold on, let me give this a shot. Tick, tick, and then I'll just do it. And when it comes to posting, sometimes you got to think about not worrying what other people think. Just do it. Just post it. You have no idea. Or you're like, oh no, I look a little fat here. Oh, my biceps isn't that big. Oh, hold on, I got a snot on my nose. Whatever. Just sometimes with content creation, it comes by fluke, by luck, or being inspired to do it. So
Yeah.
you just got to post it. You just got to do it. And
Yeah.
then when it comes to content creating, man, I would say that 50% of my posts are virtually something that I didn't know that will go viral. But then next thing you know, I just within a couple hours is like 1 million views. I'm like, hold on, I didn't expect this to hit 1 million views just like in the first day. You just got to keep creating. So as I said before, it's a process. You got to forget about your haters, your enemies. Love them, embrace them. Hey, what's up? I give them shout outs if I see it. I was like, hey, John Santiago, and he'll say, this guy's weak. I'll just give him a shout out. Hey, John Santiago, man, respect, bro. Flex. Yeah, that's my boy right there. That's it. And it just makes him like he just gave me a shout. I just told him he's weak. But they like, hold on. Eruption's all about positivity.
Yeah.
I'm rated PG, man. I'm big. I don't look PG, but hey, my streams all PG. I keep it, no vulgar, no nothing. We just keep it good vibes, and it's about your personality, that they see if you're real and you're not putting on a front, or putting on a show. That actually has a big part that plays in you being a content creator, because people are watching you day in, day not, and day in and day out. Whether it's on TikTok or on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, just keep creating. And that's my advice to the younger generation that are struggling to create content, or want to become a content creator, is remember your talents, your gifts. I always come back to that. What are you good at? What do you think you can master? But challenge yourself. But remember to always believe in yourself. You know, if you feel that you can't do something, or you don't know how to do it, remember, put in the hard work, research about it. How do you do it? How am I going to be to get to this level? Put that goal in there, you know, and make sure that you don't stop until you get to reach that goal. You know, it's easier said than done, but remember, action speaks louder than words. You got to really put in the hard work, the consistent hard work. Drive that determination, that passion, sacrifice the little things here and there, but never give up on what you truly believe in and in yourself.
That's awesome. That feels like an amazing place to end. I think you've answered all of our questions. And we just literally can't thank you enough for taking the time and
Thank
giving
you.
an interview. You've given some incredibly insightful and inspiring messages that we're happy to relay to our audience.